Good morning, social media. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the morning for Wednesday, March 18th, 2015, around 8:38 a.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. Sunny out right now. And my second video blog of the day is my review of WrestleMania 5, which is the granddaddy of them all pay-per-views for the WWE. This pay-per-view happened on April 2nd, 1989, from the Trump Plaza, also known as the Atlantic City Convention Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And this pay-per-view was titled The Mega Powers Explode, which started a feud between Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan over the WWE World Title. Plus, calling this action was Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. They called about 5 WrestleManias, and this is the 4th one they called. And seen in America, the beautiful in WrestleMania 5 was WWE Women's Champion at the time, Rockin' Robin. And they didn't have too many celebrities at this WrestleMania. The only celebrities they had were the rap group Run DMC and Morton Downey Jr., but more on that a little later. They kind of phased the celebrities out this WrestleMania, which, you know, was a decent thing. But the WrestleMania I'm going to review is a train wreck, in my opinion. 14 matches. Too many matches, in my opinion. And here's the card. The first match was Hercules against King Haku with Bobby the Brain Heenan in Haku's corner. This was, you know, an awful match, to open up WrestleMania and stuff like that. When Hercules won this match, I think it was an awful match, and that's about it. Now, the second match were the Twin Towers, Hakeem, the African Dream, and the Big Boss Man with the Dr. Style Slick against the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. This was a highly paced matchup. Rockers tried to score the upset over the big Twin Towers, but they were unsuccessful. Akeem beats Marty Jannetty with Air Africa. This was to build up the Twin Towers, and that's it on that match. The third match was Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Champion, with Virgil in his corner against Bruce the Barber Beefcake. The $1 Million title wasn't on the line. And this match was, a decent match and stuff. It was a brawl back and forth, double count out and stuff. This match lasted 10 minutes. It was one of 2 matches that only lasted more than 10 minutes at this WrestleMania. It was decent, but, not a 5-star match. The 4th match was the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond Rougeau, with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, as their manager, in their corner against the Bushwhackers. Looking Bush. Whoa! Yeah! This match was, a comedy match. The Bushwhackers were famous for this comedy matches. A back and forth match. Bushwhackers win with the battery ram. Luke pinch Raymond Rougeau, and the fans go happy. And the Bushwhackers doing, whoa, yeah, licking the fans are inside. The next match, the 5th match, was a match between the Blue Blazer, who was Owen Hart, against Mr. Perfect, and they were hyping that Mr. Perfect was undefeated. He didn't lose a television match, and this match was nothing to write home about. Mr. Perfect beats the Blue Blazer with the Perfect Plex. The next match was for the WWE World Tag Team titles. It was Demolition, Axe, and Smash, the Tag Team Champions, against the Powers of Pain, the Warlord, and the Barbarian. And added stipulation, it was a handicap tag team match with Mr. Fuji. The titles were on the line. This was, a back and forth matchup. The ending of the match had Mr. Fuji trying to throw salt at one of Demolition, but Demolition ducked and it hit the Barbarian, and Axe and Smash used the finishing maneuver and knock out Fuji for the 1, 2, 3. And that was about it on that match. The next match was Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin against Rugged Ronnie Garvin. And before the match, Howard Finkel announced that a famous WWE legend was coming back. And we're talking about the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. He was introduced to the crowd and stuff. The fans were cheering and stuff. This was probably the only highlight of the match because Bravo and Garvin had an awful match. Bravo wins with the side suplex, 1, 2, 3, but Garvin gets mad. He's kind of a sore loser and stuff, and he attacks Frenchie Martin. Frenchie Martin's no longer to be seen on WWE TV. He's history, and Bravo has, when he comes back on television a few weeks later, he has the mouth of himself, Jimmy Hart, as his manager. The next match was the Strike Force, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, who was on the model back then, against the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, with Bobby the Brain Heenan in the corner as his manager. This was a good tag team match, but Strike Force was rusty because they didn't team up for a while because Rick Martel was out for a while because he suffered a concussion. That was the storyline, but he was actually tending to his wife, who was battling health problems, and Tito Santana accidentally hits Rick Martel with the flying forearm, and then when Tito's trying to go for the tag for Martel, Martel locks out, and then the Brainbusters beat up on Tito, pinning him 1, 2, 3. After the match, Gene Okerlund interviewed Rick Martel, and he said he was tired of carrying Tito's back, and Martel made a heel turn, which was a decent heel turn in my opinion and stuff like that. Then they have Piper's Pit, and in the pit, Rowdy Piper returned to the WWE after 2 years making movies, Hell Comes to Frogtown, and They Live. And in his guests were Brother Love and Morton Downey Jr., a famous talk show host who was based out of New York, and his show was syndicated around the country. And this Piper's Pit was real funny. Piper attacked Brother Love. Brother Love was mocking Piper, wearing a kilt and stuff, and Morton Downey Jr. was a loudmouth, and Piper put a fire extinguisher out on Morton Downey Jr. when he was smoking a cigar or something. This was a very funny Piper's Pit. It was so funny. Probably one of the highlights of WrestleMania 5, which was, in my opinion, a train wreck. The next match was Jake the Snake Roberts against Andre the Giant, and the special referee was Big John Studd, who was a rival of Andre the Giant. This match was awful. The Giant's limited mobility and stuff like that, and John Studd was an awful referee. Maybe the highlight of this match is when, Ted DiBiase came down and tried to steal the Snake, Damien, but, Jake caught up to him, and then Andre was attacking Big John Studd, disqualifying Andre the Giant. Jake won by disqualification, but this match, it stunk. This match was awful. The next match was the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart against the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine, which they were a makeshift team. In 1990, they were with them and Bruce, but they were a makeshift team back then, and they had the mouth of the South in their corner. This match started on an edition of WWE Superstars when Bret the Hitman Hart was hit with the guitar by Honky Tonk Man, and this tag team match was, very awful in my opinion. It was no continuity and stuff. It was just a fill time. The Hart Foundation wins when Bret the Hitman Hart steals the megaphone from Jimmy Hart when the referee wasn't looking, and he attacked the Honky Tonk Man and beat him 1, 2, 3. Awful match. The next match was for the Intercontinental title. It was the Ultimate Warrior, the reigning WWE Champion, against Ravishing Rick Rude, the challenger, with Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner. This was a great match. It was very good. It was one of the best matches the Warrior ever wrestled and stuff. And the ending, the Warrior was trying to slam Ravishing Rick Rude, but Bobby the Brain Heenan grabbed the Warrior's leg. Referee counted 1, 2, 3, and Ravishing Rick Rude's the new WWE champion, and the Warrior chases Bobby the Brain Heenan out of the arena, which was, by the way, one of the great matches of this train wreck. The next match was Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Bad News Brown. This match was, a brawl and stuff like that, about 5-6 minutes. Double disqualification because Hacksaw Jim Duggan brought his 2x4 and Bad News Brown brought so many objects in the ring. Referee threw this match out. This was an awful match. Awful. The next match was the Red Rooster, who was Terry Taylor, facing off against Bobby the Brain Heenan, his former manager. And this was only 32 seconds. Taylor squashed the Brain, but afterwards the Red Rooster was attacked by the Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi. Absolutely the horrible worst WrestleMania match of all time. And then the main event, what everybody was waiting for, was Macho Man Randy Savage, the reigning WWE champion, against Hulk Hogan, the challenger. The Mega Powers exploded. This started off this match was caused by a tag team match that happened on the main event on February 3rd, 1989, when the Mega Powers faced off against the Twin Towers, when Randy Savage took a bump and fell on Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth was out cold. Hogan brought her to the first aid station, leaving Randy Savage out to dry against the Twin Towers. And when Hogan came back, Randy Savage slapped him in the face, and then Hogan won that match. But afterwards, Hogan and Savage just got into it and stuff like that. And the hype of WrestleMania 5 with the promos and the interviews was awesome. And Miss Elizabeth was in a neutral corner. And this was a great match. I think this was one of the best matches Hogan was ever in my opinion. He came back several times and stuff like that. Miss Elizabeth was in a neutral corner, and Savage was holding in front of her, so Hogan would not hit Savage and stuff. About halfway through, the referee told Miss Elizabeth to go back to the dressing room and stuff like that. Hogan and Macho continued their good match, and then Randy Savage hits the elbow. That would have been over, but Hogan kicks out, hulks up, and stuff like that. The crowd goes wild. Hogan uses a leg drop and beats Savage for the 1, 2, 3, and starts his second reign as WWE champion. And that was it for WrestleMania 5. What I think WrestleMania 5 was, a total disaster, a train wreck, like a bus accident. Most of these matches at WrestleMania 5 didn't really have storylines. Maybe about a couple of them did, but many of them were just filler, had no things whatsoever and stuff like that. The best match of the night was Hulk Hogan against Randy Macho Man Savage. The Mega Powers exploded. The Warrior and Rude Intercontinental title match was decent, and that was it. All the others were fair to poor nothing. The only thing that was kind of entertaining was the Piper's Pit segment. That was probably the only other highlight of the show, but the rest, awful, in my opinion. And what I give this WrestleMania, a 2 out of 10 star. It was the worst pay-per-view of all time up to that point, and was the final WrestleMania to be held on closed-circuit television, because by 1990 everybody had pay-per-view capability. And also, this WrestleMania sold out, and it also went up against the Clash of Champions on TBS, and that Clash of Champions had a 2 out of 3 fall match between Nature Boy Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the NWA World Championship. It was held at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, and only 5,000 people got to see that Clash of Champions in person, and that Clash of Champions was much more better than this WrestleMania 5 train wreck. I recommend you avoid watching this WrestleMania if you get to see it. It's a train wreck. The only things worth watching are the Savage Hogan WWE title match and the Royal Rude Intercontinental title match, and maybe the Piper's Pit. But the rest, Could fall asleep on that. I rather much see Julie Broughton and Heidi Pratt in a leg competition than watching WrestleMania 5 because it's goddamn awful. Well, I'll be back later on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for another video blog. And this one will be the personality profile about Montreal Expo's legend, Andre Dawson. Tomorrow's WrestleMania review will be WrestleMania 6 from the Sky Dome or Rogers Center from Toronto, Canada. WrestleMania 6, which was 20 times better than this train wreck. Have a good day, everybody. Bye now.